In Beijing, we start right here in the Chinese capital, where authorities are briefing the media on the achievements and measures on ethnic unity and progress, the new era led by the CPC. According to a white paper the government released, its ethnic policies are applicable to the country's current situation and has fostered unity and harmonious coexistence among all ethnic groups. So let's listen in.
Welcome to today's press conference organized by the Publicity Department of the CPC Central Committee, and this is the 20th of the series China in the last decade. Today's conference is about China's ethnic unity and progress in the new era. Today we have with us Vice Minister of the National Ethnic Affairs Commission, Mr. Zhao Yong, Director General Mr. Hua Yanrong from the United Front Work Department of the CPC Central Committee, Mr. Zhang Mo from the National Ethnic Affairs Commission, and Mr. Guo Jianming also from the Commission. We now invite Mr. Zhao Yong to give his opening remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, friends from the press, good morning. First of all, on behalf of the National Ethnic Affairs Commission, I would like to say a big thank you to all of you for your long-standing support for the ethnic unity and progress work of our country. Before I and my colleagues take your questions, let me first briefly talk about the situation of China's work on ethnic unity and progress in the last 10 years. Since the 18th Party Congress with Comrade Xi Jinping at the core, the CPC Central Committee has, for the purpose of upholding and developing socialism with Chinese characteristics and realizing great national rejuvenation, drew up plans for our ethnic work and take fostering a strong sense of community for the Chinese nation as the main task, and achieved new and historic achievements in this regard. And there are 5 news in this regard. First, a new thought has been established. With his vision, insights and strategic thinking as a Marxist statesman, thinker and strategist, General Secretary Xi Jinping has adapted Marxist theories on ethnicity with China's realities and the fine Chinese culture, and put forward a series of new ideas, new thoughts and new strategies on ethnic work, thus forming the General Secretary's important thought on improving and strengthening ethnic work. This important thought systematically elaborates on the strategic orientation and historical status, main task, important priorities, working framework and methodologies of the party's ethnic work for the new era. It gives answers to questions, major theoretical and practical questions about how to foster a strong sense of community for the Chinese nation in the new era and how to create a mighty force to drive our push toward national rejuvenation. It reveals the inherent laws guiding the formation and development of the community for the Chinese nation and reveals the bright prospects of a greater community, a community of greater cohesion and attachment for the Chinese nation. This important thought gives strong guidance in theory and practice and has positive global influence. It points the way forward for the party's ethnic work in the new era and gives fundamental guidance. The second news is that a new main task has been identified, that is to foster a strong sense of community for the Chinese nation. That is our main task. This main task provides the fundamental and guiding principles for formulating policies and plans. It is like a chip embedded in our work in all fields. It is a yardstick that we use to measure and evaluate the performance of work. Establishing or identifying this new main task ensures that we give more focus on enhancing the commonness and on the building of a community for the Chinese nation and take the party's ethnic work to the new stage. The third new is that there is a new look in our work. Over the last decade, General Secretary Xi Jinping has been personally involved in this area of work. He visited ethnic regions for inspection for many times. He repeatedly highlighted that in our pursuit of ending poverty, achieving moderate prosperity and modernization, no ethnicity is to be left behind. Thanks to the General Secretary's support and personal engagement and the party's Central Committee's leadership, 31.21 million impoverished people in the ethnic regions have gotten rid of poverty, and the ethnic regions, together with the rest of the country, won the fight against poverty and realized moderate prosperity. Our ethnic minorities, ethnic regions, and ethnic relations have all seen transformative historic changes. It is a major step forward from poverty to moderate prosperity, a historic transformation. My colleagues and I have been to many ethnic regions. We've seen that the bitter well water in the past is now replaced by clean tap water. The mud houses replaced by brand new brick and mortar houses. The highways and railway reach our people's doorsteps. Kids can go to good schools at their neighborhood, and people don't need to go to big cities to get quality medical care. In those regions, I see so many smiley, happy faces, and the people from all ethnic groups are truly thankful of General Secretary Xi Jinping and the CPC. The fourth new is that we have created new force. In the past 10 years, people of all ethnic groups in China have experienced the difficult journey of ending poverty and achieving moderate prosperity. They benefited from the strategic gains in fighting COVID-19 and shared in the moments of celebration on the 70th anniversary of New China and 100th anniversary of the CPC. They felt themselves that the Chinese nation's great rejuvenation has entered an irreversible historical process. All these have inspired the Chinese people's sense of pride and confidence and their patriotism, and tremendously strengthened the sense of community for the Chinese nation. All ethnicities identify with our motherland, the Chinese nation, the Chinese culture, the CPC and socialism with Chinese characteristics today more than ever. What we are looking at is all ethnic groups in China are like one family in pursuit of the Chinese dream. Fourth, there's a new framework in our work. Ethnic work involves many areas. The CPC Central Committee has incorporated ethnic work in the five-sphere integrated plan and the four-pronged comprehensive strategy. We've formed a new framework where the party committee exercises unified leadership, the government administers in accordance with the law, the United Front offices lead the coordination work at ethnic work departments. perform their due responsibility, and all departments work together, and the whole society participate in this work. The party committees at all levels have made ethnic work part of the responsibility for party building and ideology, and made it part of the political inspection, disciplinary inspection, and performance evaluation, so that all ethnicities across the country now participate in, contribute to, benefit from, and evaluate our work in fostering a strong sense of community for the Chinese nation, thus providing strong political safeguards for high-quality progress of the party's ethnic work in the new era. The historic achievements and transformation in China's ethnic unity and progress in the past 10 years would not have been possible without the stewardship of the General Secretary Xi Jinping as the call of the Party Central Committee and the whole party, and the guidance of Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. On our new journey toward fully building a modern socialist country, we will implement firmly the decisions and plans of the CPC Central Committee and work on the main task of fostering a strong sense of community for the Chinese nation, work for high-quality progress of the party's ethnic work in the new era, thus make new contributions to the great national rejuvenation. And that is my opening remarks. My colleagues and I are ready to take your questions now. Thank you, Mr. Zhao. And I see some hands raising already. Please identify your affiliation before you raise your question. Thank you. China Media Group. Most countries in the world are multi-ethnic, and different countries have different ways of handling ethnic affairs. China is a unified multi-ethnic country with 56 ethnic groups and 1.4 billion people. China follows policies including ethnic equality, ethnic unity, regional ethnic autonomy, and common prosperity and development for all ethnic groups. So what is your take on China's path in handling ethnic affairs? Thank you for your question. This is a very good question from a strategic height. A review of the party's century-long journey tells us that the biggest achievement in the party's ethnic work is that we have blazed the right path of handling ethnic affairs with Chinese characteristics. The great practice since the 18th Party Congress has enriched and explored this path. And the Chinese characteristics of this new path are as follows. First, the characteristic is the party's leadership. The CPC is the core bone of all ethnic groups. Party leadership is the most defining feature of socialism with Chinese characteristics and the fundamental guarantee for success in ethnic work. And it has been proven that only with the CPC's leadership can we bring all ethnic groups together on the road toward common prosperity and development. The second characteristic is equality among all ethnic groups. No matter how many people they have, how long their history, and whatever stage of development, all ethnic groups are equal. And the ethnic equality we talk about is genuine, comprehensive, and complete. The lawful rights and interests of all minorities are fully guaranteed. The human rights situation for minorities in China is now at the best in history. The third characteristic is the regional ethnic autonomy institution. This is a basic political system in China, a great invention of the CPC. This institution fundamentally safeguards state unity and ethnic unity, and it inspires all ethnic autonomous regions' passion and creativity in building a beautiful home for all of us. The fourth characteristic is the community for the Chinese nation, and this path is formed on the foundation of the community for the Chinese nation, which has been formed over 5,000 years. The relationship between the Chinese nation and all ethnic groups is that between one big family and its family members. The relations between all ethnic groups are that between different family members of one family. We must ensure all ethnicity do well, and we must also ensure that our big family, this community, do well. The fifth characteristic is common prosperity and development. This path aims to deliver a good life for all ethnic groups. National rejuvenation is not a recurrence of any particular dynasty or historical period. It is realized when the 56 ethnicities as a whole achieve socialist modernization, embrace a brilliant future, and enjoy the glory of national rejuvenation. It has been proven in history and at present that this path is a path of equality that safeguards lawful rights and interests of all ethnic groups. It is a path of unity, of promoting exchanges and interactions among all ethnic groups. It is a path toward prosperity and common prosperity and common development for all ethnic groups. And in the final analysis, it is a road, it is a path of rejuvenation where the Chinese nation marches toward a community with greater cohesion and attachment, and we will follow on this path without any hesitation. Thank you. Next question, please.
谢谢主持人。南方都市报恩视频记者提问：党中央强调要在增强中华文化认同的基础上来推动各民族文化传承、
The CPC Central Committee has been highlighting the importance of promoting the cultural protection on the basis of cultural identification. I will invite Vice Deputy Director General Mr. Guo Jianming from the National Ethnic Affairs Commission to take this question.
Thank
you. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, General Secretary Xi Jinping has made a series of important instructions on firmly standing the ground of Chinese culture, having firm confidence in the Chinese culture, and stepping up identity with the Chinese culture, as well as the protection and innovation with regard to culture of all ethnic groups in China. He has made decisions and plans at many important conferences, including the Central Conference on Ethnic Affairs, personally attended major cultural events, such as the performance of ethnic groups across the country, and has provided guidance during his inspection of key ethnic cultural projects, which have greatly inspired and encouraged people of all ethnic groups. Government departments at all levels have earnestly implemented the decisions and plans of the CPC Central Committee, with the main task of enhancing the strong sense of community for the Chinese nation. We have enacted and formulated laws and regulations on protection of cultural relic, as well as public cultural services, made plans for cultural development for the 13th and 14th five-year plan period to promote the development of fine traditional Chinese culture, the passing down of our fine traditions of the CPC, as well as delivering benefits to the people. In 2019, at the 11th sports meeting of Chinese ethnic groups, more than 10,000 athletes, referees, and coaches from all ethnic groups attended. Most of them are, in fact, farmers, peasants, students, workers, etc. And for a lot of them, it was the first time for them to come into a big city away from their hometown. At the opening ceremony, a lot of the fine traditional Chinese culture were exhibited, including Tai Chi and the Song of the Dong ethnicity. The youth of various ethnic groups performed splendid performances which received wide applause. It was a great event for promoting exchanges between ethnic groups and showcasing the solidarity of the Chinese nation. Next question, please.
封面新闻记者提问。民族地区曾是我国脱贫攻坚的难点和重点。
We understand that the ethnic concentrated regions used to be a key place for China's poverty alleviation efforts, and now we have built a moderately prosperous society. What changes have taken place, and what will you do next?
Thank you for your interest in the reform and development of ethnic regions. As you said, as we ended poverty and achieved moderate prosperity, there are historic changes in ethnic regions, and they are as follows. First, significant improvement in living standards for people from all ethnic groups. Through our efforts, people have stable jobs, higher income, access to better medical care, and their living environments have been improved. In the past 10 years, income has risen by 7.7% for ethnic regions, and disposable income for rural residents rose by 10.2%. Both figures are higher than the national average. Numerous people have seen their life transformed fundamentally. Many people find their dreams realized, and many people now lead a happy life because of our efforts to end poverty and achieve moderate prosperity. And life expectancy has been rising significantly in the past 10 years. Life expectancy in Tibet rose by 4 years. And second is people's mindsets have seen profound changes. In the past, some people would just sit back and wait for others to bring moderate prosperity to them. And now they're using their own hands to fight for a better life. In the past, people were reluctant to change, and now they are enterprising and ready to explore. The change in their mindsets bring about profound changes in their lifestyles and ways of production. They have access to water-flushed toilets and internet. They have, and there is automated machines for farming. And people in all ethnic groups are more confident and energetic in their daily lives. And the third is there is a greater internal driver for development in ethnic regions. In ethnic regions, we've built infrastructure and industrial parks. 15,000 kilometers of railway was built in the past 10 years in ethnic regions. We've built industrial parks and launched industrial projects, giving the economy a stronger driver in ethnic regions. At the She Autonomous County in Zhejiang, which is a relatively backward county in that province, and I learned that they built an enclave park near Lishui city. And I learned last year that enclave generated 36% of the county's revenues, tax revenues. And the big enterprises added value accounted for 47% of the whole county. And in southern Xinjiang, they now develop modern agriculture. Their fruits and vegetables are sold across the country. I saw in Kashgar, the ancient city of Kashgar, that people are using Uyghur-style architecture to benefit from tourism. Fourth, the party's governing foundation in ethnic regions is stronger. Last year, I have been to the county that is the highest in altitude in China, that is Pumajiangtang County in Tibet. The people told me that it was geographically isolated, with poor transportation. People lived in mud houses. And last year, what I saw was brand new houses, well-paved roads, well-furnished houses, and people leading happy lives. I saw a couplet that says, "Don't forget those who dug the water, and don't forget the CPC when you get out of poverty." It is telling what they truly are thinking in their mind. Our effort to end poverty and achieve modern prosperity has raised the party's authority among the people. The fifth change is that the socialist ethnic relations have been strengthened. People from different ethnic groups look out for each other, appreciate each other, support each other, and help each other. Such stories abound. In many cities, residents come from all 56 ethnic groups. There are more families where there are multiple ethnicities. In Xinjiang, 1.1 million government officials paired up with over 1.6 million households of ethnic minorities. They write a new chapter of ethnic unity, where all ethnic groups are like one family. All ethnic groups are one family, and everyone in this family must lead a happy life. And going forward, we will continue to promote high-quality development, following the new development philosophy and the new development paradigm. In ethnic regions, we will focus on special industries, infrastructure, and ecology in order to achieve high-quality development in ethnic regions. We will refine the region-wise supportive policies push forward rural revitalization in ethnic regions with focus on the 114 key counties among the 160 state-level counties for rural revitalization. And we will strengthen our efforts to bring prosperity to our border regions. In particular, we will work to ensure that we strengthen the sense of community for the Chinese nation in oral reform and our efforts for development in terms of, for example, project selection. We must look at the economic benefit and returns. And also its social effect, whether it is good for strengthening the community for the Chinese nation. In our feasibility studies, we must take into consideration whether it is good for our sense of community for the Chinese nation, whether it will promote exchanges and interaction among different ethnic groups. And when evaluating the projects, we must look at the economic and the ecological benefits, but also the social benefits. We must take concrete measures to encourage all ethnic groups to achieve modern socialist modernization. We know that ethnic regions were a tough link in our efforts to end poverty and achieve moderate prosperity, and it is still the tough link in realizing modernization. And we are confident that we will be able to crack this hardest nut. Thank you. Next question, please. China has been promoting the use of the Chinese language in ethnic minority regions like Xinjiang and Tibet. There are voices that say that it may affect the development of ethnic minority language and culture. What is your comment, and how would China protect the languages of ethnic minorities? Thank you for your question. And thank you for your interest in the development of ethnic minority regions. I've learned that some Western media, for some time now, have been giving their interpretations and explanations. Some may not be very well informed, and some may harbor some ulterior motives. In fact, China's constitution and China's law on national common language have established the legal status of the national common language in written and spoken forms, and also established ethnic minorities' rights and freedoms in using and developing and studying their own spoken and written languages. We are promoting the use of the national common language in accordance with the law, and at the same time, the Chinese government fully respects and protects all ethnic minorities' freedom in using their own spoken and written languages, and is creating all conditions to encourage them to use their own and study their own language. In terms of education, in elementary and high schools, we've ensured there are courses on the national common language in accordance with the law, and there are also courses on ethnic minority languages, especially in ethnic autonomous regions. If we want to study the language of ethnic minorities, you will have access to such education. Even for those who have graduated or left school, there are opportunities for them to get training on the national common language and their own language. In their social life and in terms of news and broadcasting, we have also created the condition for the use of ethnic minority languages. For example, during the 2 sessions, all the documents come in ethnic minority languages. In the judicial field, we've provided the condition for ethnic minorities to go through judicial proceedings in their own language. There are radio, TV programs in ethnic minority languages, and journals and magazines. And on the internet, minorities are also free to use their own language to acquire information, to study, and to socialize and interact. And you asked, how would China protect the languages of ethnic minorities? I think supporting them in using their own language is the best way to protect their languages. And at the same time, we've noticed we've learned that except Hui and Man ethnicity who use the Chinese language, other ethnic groups have their own languages, and 28 ethnicities have written languages. We've used modernized methods to protect such languges in written and spoken forms. We have established a database for such languages to collect, compile, and utilize these languages. All in all, ethnic minorities are not impeded in studying their own languages in their lives. And some Western media claim that there is cultural cleansing and genocide, and that is absolutely not true. Next question, please. People's Daily. The Central Conference on Ethnic Work emphasized that we must have the right historical outlook on the Chinese nation. And how do we understand this right historical outlook for the Chinese nation, and how do we establish that? Let me give the floor to Mr. Hua Yanlong from the United Front Work Department of the CPC Central Committee. Thank you for your question. The Central Conference on Ethnic Work in 2021 emphasized that we must follow the right historical outlook for the Chinese nation and strengthen cohesion and a sense of pride for the Chinese nation. China is a unified multi-ethnic country. The diversity and uniformity of the Chinese nation is an important feature of China. China's history is one in which different ethnic groups interacted and come together to form the one Chinese nation. It is one of different ethnic groups working together to build a unified country. At the National Conference on Accommodation for Ethnic Unity and Progress in 2019, General Secretary Xi Jinping put forward important thought on the four commons. which elaborated on the content of the correct and right historical outlook on Chinese nation. That is, China's vast land was explored by all ethnic groups. Our history was written by all ethnic groups. Our brilliant culture was created by all ethnic groups. And our great national spirit was nurtured by all ethnic groups. A correct or right historical outlook for the Chinese nation is to guide all ethnic groups to have a correct understanding of the origin and history of the Chinese civilization, understand the diversity and uniformity of the Chinese nation and civilization, and recognize the glorious achievements of the Chinese civilization and its contribution to human civilization. And our priorities include, first, we have strengthened the work on compiling historical documentation, including cultural relics and documentation, in order to build a complete narrative for the Chinese nation. And second, we've strengthened academic research. We followed a multidisciplinary and multi-perspective method, combined history, humanities, natural sciences, and 考古. In order to provide intellectual support for this new outlook. The third is promote public awareness. We've put the new outcomes in the correct outlook into our textbooks, into our classrooms, so that every child will learn about this correct historical outlook. And we've relied on natural scenery spots, festivals, and patriotic education bases to raise public awareness in this regard. Thank you for your question. Next, please. Xinhua News Agency.
Building a strong sense of community for the Chinese nation is a guideline for the work of the party in the new era. What has the country done in the past decade, and what will be done next? Thank you for your question, my friend from the media, and for your interest in this great cause of strengthening the sense of community for the Chinese nation. The fundamental requirement is that people of all ethnic groups in China must have this sense of sharing weal and woe and standing together through thick and thin, of sharing a common future and destiny. Building a strong sense of community for the Chinese nation is a must in order to realize the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. It is a must in order to safeguard the fundamental interests of all ethnic groups, and it is a must for strengthening and developing the ethnic relations in our socialist country, and it is a must in order to open up new fronts in the party's work in ethnic affairs. Since the 18th National Congress of the CPC, in this regard, we have worked to develop and strengthen the sense of community and achieved positive outcomes. Our work is mainly in the following areas. First, guiding the sense of community through political guidance. With the Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, we have educated the public as well as the officials to treat it as their own responsibility to strengthen the sense of community and to earnestly fulfill the obligation written in the Constitution of upholding ethnic unity and contribute their part to building a community for the Chinese nation. Second, we have, through education, worked to cement the sense of community. This awareness raising has been incorporated into education of the public, of people across society, and of government officials. In terms of education of the public, it is now in textbooks. It is part of the curriculum in classrooms and part of the evaluation system. In terms of education of government officials, it is now part of the study program of party and government officials. And in terms of education of society at large, we have used means that are popular with the public to promote awareness of the sense of community among the 1.4 billion Chinese people, and to help people understand that community means a community for the Chinese nation. And there are two visions, namely creating a better future for the Chinese nation and achieving the great glory of national rejuvenation. We have promoted the awareness of the nation, of the citizens, and of law, and we have helped people realize that they share weal and woe and stand together through thick and thin with a common future. And we have promoted the sense of identity for the great motherland, for the Chinese nation, the Chinese culture, the Communist Party of China, and socialism with Chinese characteristics. Third, we have helped enhance the sense of community with culture by establishing and creating symbols of Chinese culture as well as images shared by all ethnic groups, and by promoting quality cultural products with Chinese culture, and by organizing various cultural activities, and by promoting the commonly used written and spoken language. We have helped strengthen this common identity and attachment for China and for the Chinese culture, which is the basic foundation. Fourth, we have strengthened the sense of community with development by formulating various policies that are tailored to different regions. We have supported the development of ethnic regions. We have implemented various projects to promote high-quality development so that people of all ethnic groups can benefit from the fruits of reform and development, so that people of all ethnic groups can genuinely feel that only when the country and the Chinese nation is better off can their lives be better. Fifth, we have strengthened the sense of community through integration. We have cleared all obstacles to the exchanges and integration among different ethnic groups to help people of various ethnic groups travel or move between cities and countries and between different regions. In the past decade, we have seen much more exchanges among people of different ethnic groups and greater integration. And through such exchanges and integration, they have come to have a heightened sense of community, suggesting that no one is isolated from the other, and they all need each other for common development. Sixth, we have strengthened the sense of community with the rule of law. The term Chinese nation is now in China's constitution, and the strengthening of the community for the Chinese nation is now in the organization law of national people's congresses and governments at various local levels. We have formulated regulations on promoting ethnic unity in 7 provinces. We have fine-tuned our ethnic policies, including on preferential policies for the college entrance examination, so that all of our work in enhancing awareness of community is within the framework of the rule of law. Seventh, we have showcased our sense of community for the Chinese nation through greater opening up. We have worked to tell the story of China and of the Chinese nation well through multiple means, actively engaged in cooperation and dialogue with the world, to promote the building of a community with a shared future for mankind through the building of a community for the Chinese nation. Not long ago, during my inspection tour to Guizhou, I met a 76-year-old by the name of Pan Yuzhen, who specializes in miao embroidery. Over the past 20 years, she has visited more than 10 countries and been to the United States 10 times. Once she held an exhibit in front of the White House, which attracted tens of thousands of people. She showcased the beauty of miao embroidery and of Chinese culture to the world, and has demonstrated a China that is more and more open, and the charm of the community for the Chinese nation, which is becoming stronger and stronger. We are aware that heightening the sense of community is a long-term historical process. So going forward, we will continue to stay focused on the major strategic task of heightening the sense of community and to pursue development while ensuring stability. We will help all ethnic groups of China advance toward socialist modernization, promote exchanges and integration among different ethnic groups, and enhance the governance system and capacity with regard to ethnic affairs, so as to do our work in more tangible terms and more effectively. By tangible, I mean that there should be more platforms for carrying out our work and making sure that it is delivered solidly on the ground. We also must make our work perceivable by the public, so that the people can have a greater sense of participation and fulfillment. We must make our work even more effective, so that it can contribute to strengthening the sense of community for the Chinese nation and boosting the cohesion of the Chinese nation. Thank you.
好，请大家继续提问。这边第三排这位女士。
My question is, we've noticed that recently the policy of adding scores for ethnic students in college entrance examination has been fine-tuned. What are the adjustments and what is our consideration? I will ask my colleague, Mr. Zhang, to take this question. Thank you for your question. Since the resumption of the college entrance exam, we have implemented a preferential policy of adding the scores for ethnic students in the exam, so as to help them receive greater education, to help the people from the more vulnerable regions and communities. And now we are working to reform this policy for two reasons. First, the education resources are much more balanced in terms of distribution, so the ethnic students are now enjoying better education resources. And second, we used to have a all-encompassing policy for all ethnic students, and now it is not tailored or targeted enough. So in this round of reform, we are working to have the preferential policies delivered to those who really need the policies, to make our policy more targeted. And with regard to the reform plan
There are several cases. The first case is removing this preferential policy for provinces where education resources are already quite evenly distributed. And the second case is to adjust the scope of the policy to students ethnic students who have transferred to the local high school for their high school education. And third, we have made the policies targeted at ethnic students who live in ethnic concentrated areas. And fourth, in some regions, we offer preferential policy by the area to eligible students of all groups, including Han and ethnic groups. Going forward, we will continue to move forward with the main task of strengthening the sense of community for the Chinese nation and to have full consideration for the ethnic and regional factors. We have three principles for our work in prudently fine-tuning the policy. First is respecting the facts and to stick to the right approaches and to remove the ones that are now outdated. Facts have proven that our ethnic policy is good and effective, and it must always be adhered to. Meanwhile, we need to fine-tune it with the development of the times. Second, justice and fairness in making the policy more targeted and tailored to different regions. We want to do our best to eliminate the disparity in terms of public service for different ethnic groups in the same region. Third, we will adopt a law-based approach to governance of ethnic affairs. We will make sure that all are equal before the law and protect the legitimate rights and interests of people of all ethnic groups with law so as to defend ethnic unity. Next question, please.
谢谢主持人。中新社记者提问：当前西部地区少数民族群众到东中部的人
Now
数
more and
越
more
来越多
people
了。
from
各民
the
族群
ethnic
众之
groups
间的
in the
接触也
western
越来越频
parts
繁。
of China
请
are
问近
moving
年
to the
在
middle
国
parts
家
and
在
the
促进各民
eastern
族
parts
交
of
往、
China.
交流、交
There are
流方
more
面做了哪
exchanges
些
and
工作，
engagement
取得了
between
哪些
people of
成效？
different
下一
ethnic
步有什么
groups.
样的举措？
What have we
谢谢。
done in terms of promoting their exchanges and integration, and what will be done next?
关注这个问题。
Thank you for your
跟你的
attention.
感受一样，
I share a similar
近10
impression,
年来啊，
and that is, in the
各民
past
族
decade,
交往、
people
交流、
of
交
all
流
ethnic
的
groups
广度和深度
have enjoyed
是
exchanges and integration at
空前。
unprecedented
1.25亿
breadth
少数民族人口
and
当中，
depth.
现在流动人口啊
We now
就
see
超过了3700万。
more than
光一个广东省
37 million people on the
少数
move
民族流动人口
They
就
are
达到了
constantly
370万，
from
是
their
10
hometown
年前的
to
2倍多。
other
所以
parts
这
of
个趋
China.
势啊，还
In
在进一步
Guangdong
发展。
province alone, nearly
有一个形象的说法，
3.7 million ethnic people have moved
四
there
川麻辣
in the
烫
past couple of years.
烫到了边疆，
There is
新疆
this
的羊肉
figure
串
of speech that says the
串遍了
hot pot
全国。
from Sichuan has now moved
我
to
们
the
顺应
frontiers of China, and Xinjiang's mutton kebabs
这种大
are
流
now
动、
all over
大
China.
永居的这个趋
So
势啊，
following this
在
trend
促
of the
进
great
交往、交流、交
movement,
融方面呢，
mobility and
采取了一系列切实
integration
的
of
措
all
施。
ethnic groups, we have adopted
一个
a
方面呢，
series of policy measures.
就是制定了
First,
促进
we
各
have
民族
formulated
交往、交
policies
流、交融
encouraging
的
the
相关政策。
exchanges and integration
例如
among
促
all
进
ethnic groups. For
这
instance,
个东西对口帮扶的政策，
there are policies that
少数民
promote
族人口
the
进城
paired
的政策
assistance
等等。
between Eastern and Western
二是呢
China
加
and
强了少数
policies
民族
that
流动
support
人口
people
的服务和
from
管理。
to
少
go
数民
to
族
the cities.
群众啊，进到城市里
Second,
面来，
we have stepped up
有的
management
语言
and
不通，
services for
有的技
people
能水平比较
of
低，
ethnic groups
还有些
moving
不
to the
适应。
cities to help
我们
address their
把它纳入
difficulties
到
and
城市的公共
concerns.
服务体系，
They are now part of this urban service system so that they can enjoy the same treatment as the people, the local residents, as well as the public services. Third, we have resolutely opposed and redressed discriminatory practices targeting certain regions and certain ethnic groups. With our hard work, we have effectively addressed and resolved the discriminatory practices that we have seen in some areas. And the lawful rights and interests of people of all ethnic groups have been effectively safeguarded. We will continue our work in this regard. Fourth, we have taken an innovative approach to promoting the ethnic integration and exchanges. There are 3 plans. First is a plan for promoting exchanges among youth, so that youth from the western parts of China can come to the inland for summer camps. And we are encouraging, likewise, study tours and tourist travels, so as to help youth of different parts of China build a stronger sense of identity. Second, we have a plan for helping ethnic groups come seek employment and start businesses in the middle and eastern parts of China, and to help the businesses in the middle and eastern part to grow their business and move their businesses to the western and frontiers. Now, a lot of ethnic groups have found stable employment in major cities and built happy lives. The third plan is promoting exchanges and integration through tourism. Because in this process, people of all ethnic groups can experience firsthand the Chinese culture and enhance mutual understanding and the sense of identity. These are the 3 plans that our commission, together with the National Development and Reform Commission and a series of other departments, have made. For the youth project, the first plan alone, this summer, there have already been nearly 10,000 young people from the remote areas coming to cities for summer camps, and we expect to have 30,000 in total this year alone. So from all of this work, it is our impression that only by boosting exchanges and integration constantly and steadily can we heighten the sense of community. And this is mutually reinforcing. Going forward, we will continue with our work on the 3 plans, with a highlight on the word integration, so as to bring our work to a whole new level. With regard to the term integration, the first aspect is integration in terms of physical space. We will further boost the flow of people between urban and rural areas. 2-way. We will encourage people of all ethnic groups to attend the same classes, work on the same assembly lines, dine in the same cafeteria, and live in the same building. Second, integration in terms of economy. We will promote the integrated development of the eastern, middle, and western parts of China, and promote a healthy interaction so that people of all ethnic groups can share in the fruits of development in the same industrial park, on the same assembly line and industrial chain. And third, integration in terms of culture. We will promote the protection of ethnic cultures in an innovative way, so that they can continue to shine and shine together. We encourage people of all ethnic groups to sing the same song together on the same stage and form a community of culture. Fourth, integration across society. We will create a strong atmosphere of the one big family of the Chinese nation to help people of all ethnic groups, wherever they go in China, feel that it is a good place for starting business and for building a happy home, that wherever they go, whoever they meet are their family. Fifth, integration in terms of sentiments. We encourage people of all ethnic groups to have greater exchanges and interactions, so that they can be neighbors living in harmony, bosom friends, and even family. Thank you.
还有记者提问，这边这位记者。您好，浙江日报天目新闻提问。多民族国家的民族关系事关每个成员的福祉。
We understand that
全国民委大力开展
ethnic relations for a country with multiple ethnicities is a key issue bearing on the well-being of the whole country. There are now more than 1,000 demonstration zones for national unity and progress. What have we achieved in this regard, and what will be done?
谢谢记者朋友的提问。
Thank you for your question.
正如你刚才谈到的，
As you just said,
民族团结进步创建的先进典型啊，
the
在我们
demonstrations
的身边都能看到。
for ethnic
民族团结进
unity
步
and
创建
progress can be
是
seen in
全
our
国各
daily
族人民
lives
共同打造的一块金字招牌。它发展于
because it is a brand built by all of us together. It started from
发展于
the
改
years
革开放后
after 1949
党的18大以来呀，得到了创新性的发展，
further
取得了突
developed
破性的
after
成效
reform and opening up, and achieved
刚才你问我
breakthroughs
取得哪些
after the
成效，我想
18th Party
就
Congress.
主要这么几个方面。
And if you look at
第一个
its
呢，
effects,
创建工
first,
作啊，已经成为各族
this
群众
area of work has
履
become
行维护民族团结
a good practice for all ethnic groups
一个
to fulfill their obligation in promoting ethnic unity.
宪法规定，
The Constitution provides that each citizen has the obligation to safeguard ethnic unity,
那么创建工作呢，就为公民履行这个义务
and our work in promoting ethnic unity and progress has provided a good platform
已经拓展到了企业、乡
which has
村、
been
机
extended
关、社
to
区，
government
甚至宗教场所。
departments, schools,
可以说，在群众身边呢，
street,
就有
local
民族
communities
团
and
结进步
enterprises.
的阵地，有民族团结进步
You
的活动，
find such
还有
places
民族团结进
in
步的
every
群众
corner,
组织。老
and
百
you
姓
find
都更
such
加自
activities
觉
and
地
organizations in every
参与到
corner,
民
so
族团
that
结进
people
步
from
的
all ethnic
这个
groups
实
will
践
be
活动
better
当中来。
integrated into
这是
such
一
activities
个
and
突出成
endeavors.
效。第二个方面呢，
Second,
创建工作已经成为筑牢中华民族共同体意识的
this area of work has become an important
我们修订
way
的
of fostering a strong sense of community for the Chinese nation.
把筑
We
牢
have
中华民族
put
共同体意识的几
together
项战略任
a
务
system of evaluation
细化成了创建的
standards
主要指标，就是形成一个指挥棒。
so that they
创建工作都要
become
围绕这个指挥棒
the
来转，
guide
围绕筑牢
for
中华民族
all our
共同体意识来展开，这就成了一个综合性的
and
抓
the
手。
central part is
第三个
to
呢，
foster a strong sense of community
创建
for the
工作已经
Chinese
成为
nation.
促
Third,
进
this
地方
area of work
经济社
has
会发展
become
的一个助推器
a。driver promoting
各个地
the
方啊，
high quality
都把
development
创
of
建
local
工作融入
societies
到
and
经济社会
economies.
发展当中。各
Local
地创造了
governments
很多
have
好的模式
incorporated this area work into all parts of economic and social development. Sometimes they combine this area with ending poverty, with rural revitalization, with social governance. So that our work of promoting pioneers and demonstration units in this area will become an important way to tackle real problems for the people. So it brings benefits in both promoting unity and achieving development. We have been upgrading our work in promoting pilots and demonstrations. We are now building the fourth version. And first, we must give more substance, give more highlight to the main task of fostering a strong sense of community for the Chinese nation, take it as a guiding principle and core mission and evaluation standards for our work. Second is we must enrich the forms based on the local realities and the characteristics of different sectors. Third, we will innovate new methods. We will work on different areas, different levels, both rural and urban regions, both online and offline. We will work on formulating the right policies and also on establishing the right legal safeguards, so that we will attract more people from different ethnic groups to take part in our work in promoting ethnic unity and progress, so that people will be voluntarily working to foster a strong sense of a community for the Chinese nation, thus contribute everybody's share for building a modern socialist country and realizing the national rejuvenation. Thank you. If there are no more, this is the end of today's press conference. I thank Mr. Zhao and the other four speakers and thank you, friends from the press. Thank you.